Hello. Today we're going to be doing an interview. I hope you enjoy the next segment of this presentation. Thank you. My name is DJ Beenken. I've got a wife and 3 boys. Our youngest is 9 months old, and he's super fun, and none of them have cerebral palsy. I have a condition called cerebral palsy. I was born with it. It's due to lack of oxygen. I don't know, I guess, if there's a specific type that I have, but it affects my lower half the most and my left side of my body the most. So my lower leg is most impacted out of my entire body. It affects my entire body, but the left side of my body is smaller. Just my foot's smaller. I wear the same size shoes, but it's uncomfortable. My right arm is a little bit shorter, and those muscles are always a lot tighter too on the left side of my body. I was in the NICU for a long time and didn't get to go home because I was so small, because I was a preemie too. One of the earliest preemies they had back in that time, and so it was a lot of complications involved in addition to the cerebral palsy. So I remember being aware that I had something wrong or different with me in preschool. Probably just because at that point I was around other kids. And I don't know, maybe I remember a lot of earlier years as well, but I remember my mom being fragile with me and telling me to be careful a lot. But I had really terrible balance, right? My feet were turned in, and I walked like a penguin because my muscles were so tight. I had braces and splints on my feet and legs all growing up. I had to do stretching every morning because my mom didn't want to have me on any kind of walking assistance. And so she'd wake up with me early in the morning. We'd stretch literally 2 to 3 hours every morning for the first 3 or 4 years of school. Like all through elementary school, I remember doing it, even going into middle school, so that I could walk normally. And I still walk with a little bit of a limp, but that's really when I started noticing, when I wasn't home all by with my mom all the time. When I started going to school, that's when I noticed there was something different about me, and I had foot splints and stuff. So I like to play football, and I like to play sports and hang out with my friends, and I seemed to get sprained ankles, pulled muscles. I couldn't stretch hardly at all, right? That's one of the major side effects is your muscles are super, super tight. So when I was a kid, I dealt with that, and then the splints on my feet didn't help at all. Like they just made me painful every day, all day long. And they hurt my knees because they were bending my feet out, right? And so I through middle school and high school, I found that the splints caused more problems than they fixed. And I went to a doctor finally who said, I don't believe in splints and he says, does it cause you pain when you don't wear the splints? I said, no, it's fine. He says, then why are we correcting something that's not hurting you? And I said, that's a genius thing. Why didn't I think of that earlier? Why did I grow up my whole life being tortured? And ever since they stopped putting splints on my feet, I don't have pain. I can run and, all kinds of stuff, and I'm fine. And they're just molded a little different. When I was in high school, a junior in high school, I had an operation on both my legs to try to correct it or alleviate a lot of the symptoms, where they went in and they operated to have these 2 big scars on the insides of my calves, where they cut some muscle out and tried to adjust thickness and even a little bit of location, where they like reattach and try to create more range of motion in my feet. So because my feet were so like, my muscles are so tight that I didn't have any dorsiflexion. And so they did this surgery on me as a junior in high school. And so, they asked me, do you want me to do one at a time? And you're just on crutches. And I'm like, yeah, I want to be on crutches for the next 9 months of my life. Like, no, like get them both done. I want to be done with this. So they did them both at the same time. So I was in a wheelchair through multiple like trips, field trips. And we even went to Washington, D.C. as a class, and I was in a wheelchair, and we got wheeled around all over high school. And that was a really interesting, I definitely noticed a difference in my ability to walk and not get injured or have pain or feel tightness. I don't know if it was, at this point, it was worth what I went through then, because I'm not dealing with that now. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if it was worth it then, because when I got done, I guess my brain expected the cerebral palsy to be gone, kind of thing, you go, but it wasn't. It was just slightly improved. I made a decision early on that wasn't something that I was going to let define me, and so I think there are a lot of people out there that does create a problem where they're self-conscious, and I like, for example, I went to the doctor, and I was telling him I was getting some work done on my feet, and I was telling him I was really in really good shape back in college, and I was running 6 to 10 miles a day and training for a marathon. And I told him I had cerebral palsy. He goes, "Yeah, I can tell, due to I get really intense calluses on the inside of my feet because I walk on the insides of my feet, and so and then I get sore because I walk in them so much on areas that I'm not. And my heels don't get any work at all because I don't touch my heels on the ground. And so I was asking him for some guidance on how do I run so that I can do 26.2 miles and not end the race and have to have my legs amputated, right? Like that's, I'm like, I don't want to be crippled my whole life due to this. And he's like, "Well, you can't do that." And I said, "Well, yeah, I can." And he goes, "No, you can't. You physically cannot do that." And I said, "I run 6 to 10 miles a day right now." And he goes, "No, you don't, because your body won't allow you to." I said, "You don't know what you're talking about, sir, so goodbye." And I just left because he was so adamant that I'm not doing what I'm currently doing. And that's how most people view cerebral palsy. It's this hindrance in your life. And I think you can convince yourself that it's not something that's going to hold you back. You can do anything you want with it. And it actually can be a huge asset to you. And so it's never been something that I don't ever use it as an excuse. I've never let it become something more than it is, where it's a minor physical hindrance that I get to learn how to adjust to. And because of that, I don't think it's ever really, like dating, it probably, when I walk up to a girl funny and they look at me and go, if I act like I walk up to her funny, she's probably not going to want to date me. But look at my wife, she's smoking hot. Like, I haven't had a problem dating, right? Like, and it's because if I get questions about it, I just answer them. And I don't have to, it's not who I am. It's just something I get the opportunity to overcome. And so it's been a huge blessing in my life, actually. Every day I get, and mostly, especially when I'm overweight, it exaggerates the CP because there's more weight moving incorrectly, right? And so, or not normally. And so I get a lot of people every day I get people, "Are you okay? Did you hurt your ankle?" Like, okay, how much of the story do you want right now? Because I can give you no, I'm good. And then they're like, "Well, what's wrong?" And, okay, so let me tell you about when I was born. And so it's this big story. And so usually I'm like, "Oh, I have cerebral palsy. Don't feel bad." Like, people always feel bad because I'm not. You're not offending me by asking, but don't worry, I'm feeling good. But I get that all the time, every day. And so I played football growing up. Usually people have a hard time with that because kids with cerebral palsy don't play football because they get injured. But I did, and I loved it. Like, that's my passion. I wish I could be out there in the NFL right now playing. And luckily my kids enjoy it too now, and so I get to go, help coach their practices and be there. My one son plays soccer, and I get to be there with them every day, and so that's been a huge blessing. Like the way I do it to you? Your face? Give me your face. See? It's you. Oh, did that feel cool? You go to kindergarten, and the teacher's like, "Sit, crisscross applesauce," and I'm like, "Yeah, not happening." Like that. There's no way. If I lay down on my back, I can cross my legs, right? Like, if there's no way I was sitting up straight and just sitting in